Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. I have a great video for you. I've been getting a lot of emails and a lot of questions on YNW Melly case. It's in action right now. Did a lot of research. I'm going to dive into this case for you right now with questions from you guys. So this is going to be a good one. Before I get started, please check me out on YouTube, member program, Patreon. Check us out on Discord. Check out Crooked Diamond Cigars. Best cigar ever. Unbelievable. The feedback is great. Check my book out, Gangster Redemption. You'll hear all about prison, where YNW is right now. And also the cookbook. Yes, it's on pre-order. Go check it out right now. Pre-order. This book is an amazing book with stories and a whole bunch of stuff of how I did all those meals. You guys will love the book. Now, everybody, let's get into the YNW Melly murder case. First of all, let me explain what the case is about to a point. YNW Melly, who's also a big rapper, there were four friends of his. Now, two of the friends were killed in a car. The prosecutor is saying that YNW Melly did the killing. YNW, his real name is Jamel Demons, and he's 24 now. At the time of the murder, he was 19 years old. He also was charged, another man was charged with him, and is another member of the YNW crew, is YNW Portland, also Cortland Henry. Same age, 24 years old, also 19 at the time of the murder. Now, they separated their trials, meaning YNW Melly's on trial now, YNW Portland will go on trial at a later date. Now, the difference here, YNW Melly is accused of actually being the shooter. He did not get bond. Where the other young man got bond, he had a $180,000 bond. He did post it, and he was out of jail. He got out of jail in, I think it was May. I think it was May of 2019. They were both arrested in February of 2019. Okay, now, let's go. YNW, what does that mean? That's the first question I had. It really means young new wave. They say it says other things, but that's what it is, and that's what I'm seeing now, so I'm pretty cool with that. Hey, listen, they're a blood set, is what they're saying. Again, I have not seen the proof that it's a blood set. They had a detective come on as a gang detective. How much I'm believing this guy, we're going to get into that in a little bit. YNW is accused, YNW Melly is accused of, first of all, the charges of first-degree premeditated murder with what they call aggravating factors. Now, the reason they have the aggravating factors is so they can give them the death penalty. Listen, you guys know how I feel about the death penalty. I don't believe in it, especially a 19-year-old kid at the time of the murders. I just don't believe in the death penalty. But Melly is accused of murdering Anthony Williams, who's also 21, aka YNW Sack Chaser, and Christopher Thomas Jr., 19, aka YNW Juvie. First of all, the age of these guys are blowing me away. They're young, man. They're very young guys. Now, they're saying they did it they staged a drive-by shooting, is what they're saying, and his partner, Henry, dropped these guys off at the hospital who died, and they say they were dead. They said they staged it. This is what the police are saying. At this point, what I'm watching, I'm not seeing any of that yet. I don't know. But the prosecutor put on their case, and I'm not so sure of this case right now. But let me continue. The aggravating factors make this what they call a death penalty qualified case. Now, the law changed in Florida. You don't need 12 jurors to agree on the death penalty. You only need 8 jurors. So if he is convicted, they then do another jury thing, and they need 8 out of the 12 to say, yeah, he deserves the death penalty. I don't think you're going to get that. This case is so weak in my mind so far. But here's what you need, and here's what the prosecutors are saying. The prosecutor, who is Christine Bradley, not impressed at all. Judge Murphy, who's the Murphy? John Murphy is the judge on the case, and I'll tell you right now, he's not too happy with this Bradley. This Christine Bradley is kind of pissing him off outside the jury's view, which is okay. But I just don't think this guy, lawyer is that good. Now, the lawyer for Melly, who's Jason Roger Williams, who was also Boozie's lawyer, got Boozie off. And I like this lawyer a lot. At the end of the prosecutor's case, which just happened, he introduced a motion for a mistrial. Or they call it a mistrial, and if they do a mistrial with prejudice, that means over, done. Double jeopardy does come involved. That's number one. So that's important to know. So the aggravating factors that the prosecutor is trying to prove are three things. They're trying to prove, here's what they need to prove. It has to be a especially heinous crime. Very atrocious, cruel, like execution-style murder is considered a heinous crime. That's one of them. It has to also committed in cold blood, calculated, and premeditated manner. Premeditated murder, meaning they had to plan it, they had to figure out how to do it, how to get away, how to lie. So you're actually showing not a crazy person. In other words, if you fly off the handle, you fight with your wife and you shoot her, that's not premeditated murder. That would be murder too. He is in charge with first-degree premeditated murder. Very hard to prove, especially at this level, that there wasn't an argument, even if there was in this case or stuff. So I just don't know it. And here's another premeditated, aggravated factor that the prosecutor is going to try to prove. That is committed by a gang or a gang member. Now, watching this case, just because they have YNW, I'm not saying that is a gang. I have not heard anybody say, man, we're Bloods. We're Crips. We're doing something. We're YNW. We're the gang. We're the cool guy. I'm not hearing that. Have you noticed, usually with a gang case, the prosecutor will try to charge what they call CCE, which is a continuing criminal enterprise. I'm not seeing that either. So that's another a factor I'm looking at in this case. Now what I'm going to try to do is give you a little background on what happens in the case, and then I'm going to answer your questions. First of all, one of the questions, how does cross-examination work? Well, cross-examination is when they have witnesses on the stand. The prosecutor has a witness, and then the defense gets to cross-examine that witness. Also, that's going to happen when the defense puts somebody on the stand. And they also have the prosecution has an opportunity to cross-examine. Now, any good lawyer, and I did the law for 10 years, any good lawyer will know the answers to the questions of their witness, and even the questions that they won't be able to answer. The prosecutor or the defense has to figure out what questions they're going to ask that maybe this guy's going to get tripped up on. That's number one. So they should know the answers. And I think this defense attorney with Jason Roger Williams is really sharp, and I think he knows the answer to every single question. Now, that is cross-examination. A couple of the questions also were, did Melly get in the car? Well, the video I've seen is that he did get in the car. I haven't seen where the prosecutor said anything at all what that mattered. I'll tell you why I mean that. He could have gotten a car and got dropped off to pick up some weed or pick up some drugs. Who knows? I'm not seeing where YNW Portland has said anything that YNW is the shooter or is in the car or anybody. They're trying to place him in the car through cell phones, but I'm going to get that in a little bit. What is the motivation? That is one of the questions. First of all, motivation is not needed to prove a crime, but it sure does help, because if I'm a juror, I want to know why somebody did something. The prosecutor's saying it's a gang-related murder and he maybe wanted to increase his power in the gang, or even money involved, which made me a little questionable because the money amount was such garbage. Why would you do that? So that is, I still don't know the motivation. After watching the trial and reading about the trial, doing what I have done, I have not seen a motivation. Now, usually there is motivation. But why does someone do it? Unless you're a total psychopath. This kid does not seem like a total psychopath. Are they crazy kids? Yes. But do I think they're psychopaths? I'm not seeing that right now. Next question. Was Melly a part of the G-Shine Bloods? Again, I can't answer a question like that because I don't know. I'm not seeing proof of any of that. But here's the next question. If he was, and they say this is all gang motivated, that doesn't make sense, because why would you, as a gang, want one of your biggest earners, if he's a gang member, and his name is Melly, of course he's a famous rapper, why would they want him to kill 2 other blood members? And it made no sense because now everybody's in jail and the guy who makes the most money is in jail and the others are dead. Does not make sense. A beatdown would make sense. If they were charging him with assault or some guys got beat up or something like that and maybe died accidentally, that is more plausible to me. But just to shoot people from the back seat of a car is not making sense for a gang-motivated crime. So I'm not buying that right there. Next question. They had cell phone testimony, and one of the questions is, how do you know the cell phone was used by Melly? And that is a great question because you don't. I, Larry Lawton, have a cell phone, and I actually have a company cell phone. So does my staff. We have 4 cell phones. We all are under the same account. In fact, Nick, who's my assistant, uses my cell phone all the time. He'll post stuff, he'll look at stuff, check stuff out. When his phone is being used for maybe in a video or something, and he'll grab my phone. So I'm seeing the same thing also, as the prosecutor didn't mention, but the defense did. They have texts and phone calls from Melly's phone after February 13th. After February 13th, he was arrested. So if there's cell phone and texts and calls after February 13th, it's obvious somebody else has his phone or used his phone. So having a cell phone or somebody using the cell phone, I don't buy it. Unless maybe you have a voice thing and they could have a voice analyst prove that that's that person. But you want the truth with with the artificial intelligence today, I wouldn't even buy that right now. Only way I'm gonna believe cell phone footage, and I haven't seen it, they're telling them that they were pinged off towers, okay? Well, I live out in this area. I lived out right where this happened. This happened out off 27 and 595, which I lived off of 595 East. Well, it's a deserted area, and they're saying they pinged the cell phone towers of the phones. Well, first of all, that's so distance-wise, I don't get it. Second, I know there's a lot of cameras in South Florida. And unless you could take a video or see a video of this young man in that car, I'm not buying it, even if the cell phone was in the car. How do you know he didn't just get out of that car, go buy weed, didn't want to bring the cell phone? He was busted for weed once. Maybe he was going to pick up some other kind of drug. I'm not saying it's druggy or anything, I'm just saying you don't know. Now, let's say I'd say, listen, I'm not taking my cell phone in case I get arrested or whatever. If I'm not back at this time, check the police, check whatever. I'll be cool, or call this guy who's my dealer or whatever. Leave the cell phone in the car. How do you know that didn't happen? So he's not in the car. I'm not buying that either. So the cell phone to me is just garbage. They're trying to put shit on it. And I'm not buying that. Next question. Do they have DNA of Melly in the car or some way involved in this shooting? Being they say it was in a car. Great question. And here's a real good answer. No. There is no, like if you would think if a person's in the back seat of a car, ready to kill somebody, your DNA is going to be everywhere. Either you're not touching a thing, you're not sweating, you're not spitting when you talk. There's so many ways to get DNA today that I would believe DNA would have been found. I haven't heard where the prosecutor got a warrant for clothes from Melly, and did they get him, did he get ready to close? If he did, why did it take so long? Why did they come to suspect he did it? Because they had a video of him getting in the back seat of a car? This is a very weak case. With no DNA? They only had a fingerprint of him on the outside of the car, and he was in the car. He's not proven he wasn't in the car. So without DNA, without real kind of forensic evidence, I'm not buying that either. So that's another one that's so far weak case in my opinion. What is a hostile witness? Melly's girlfriend's mother took the stand and she was a hostile witness. Well, a hostile witness is one of your witnesses that you have to deem hostile because they're not answering the right questions. Again, I'm not impressed with Christine Bradley, the prosecutor. You're pissing off your own witnesses. Obviously, if the girl change the story or whatever, and you have a bad witness, it's not going to look good to the jury. I think she looked bad. I'm talking about the prosecutor. The girl stuck to her story after the fact. They're trying to say and come up with stuff without evidence, and I guarantee you the defense is going to crush that. They tried to do that on a directed verdict or a mistrial, is what they call that. So I'm not buying that at all. YNW Melly had a song called Murder on My Mind. A hit, a huge hit. He blew up afterwards. Why isn't the prosecutor using that Murder on the Mind, since they do use it in other cases around the country, from Atlanta to other cases? Well, in my opinion, it's irrelevant. I heard the song, pretty good song. Nothing to do with that murder. Nothing in a drive-by shooting. Nothing in a, what kind of gun or anything of that nature is in that. So it really is irrelevant. And I think in that case, the prosecutor's right. Why use something that you're just going to confuse the jury with? And the jury's going to listen to the song and it's going to be unrelated to this murder. Doesn't say he was killing his friend. Doesn't say he was, a gang guy and killing things. Everything that the prosecutor's trying to do, it's not in the song. And I think they've had some bad luck with that kind of thing, charging the RICO for kids, which I did the video on that a little bit ago, so I'm not buying that. Listen, check out the song. It's a pretty good song. It's nothing to do with this murder. The next question is, one juror didn't like the mask that the detective wore on the stand. Well, I agree with that juror. First of all, under the Sixth Amendment, you have a right to face your accuser. Doesn't mean behind a mask. You, as a defendant, have the right to face your accuser. Now, he's saying that he was scared for his family because it's a gang and all. That could be intimidating to a jury. And that's also, in my opinion, swaying the jury. The reason a defendant, even Melly or whoever it is in street clothes. Because if you're in prison and you go to trial and you are in prison gear, jumpsuit, that is prejudicial to yourself because the jury's thinking, oh, he's in jail, so they couldn't get bail. Why should we believe this case? He's a criminal. Same here. I don't like that they put this, because now they're trying to say they're assuming this guy's a gang member without proving it, or we're scared of YN Melly. He's been in prison for 4.5 years already. Been in prison for 4.5 years, guys. So I'm not buying that at all. And they made him take it off because they proved that it's on the internet already who he is and his picture was up there. So I'm not buying that. And that jury is right. She felt a little bit anxiety about that. And as an undercover cop in a gang unit or the organized crime unit, whatever it is, this is what they do. It's a dangerous job, and I get that. But all the trials I saw with the mobsters, bigger mobsters in this YNW, John Gotti, Sammy, and nobody's coming in a mask. You have a right to face your accuser, period. End of story. It's part of the Sixth Amendment, which is the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments, and those are the most important. The judge was going to give it up until they showed that obviously his picture's out there already. So I know safety is a concern, but I didn't buy it, and I think that was a bad tactic by the prosecutor, and I think it was done by the prosecutor. So if this guy's scared, get out of the cop business. How's that? How do you think this trial is going to end? Well, I'd be pretty naive to say I think the defense is going to win right now. I really would. Because I have not heard the defense's arguments right now. But even if the defense doesn't put on an argument, because they don't have to, the prosecutor has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that YNW did this. That means if one jury out of 12 says, maybe he didn't do it, he is innocent, and he'll be proven innocent. So I thought, so far, I think the prosecutor has brought a very, very weak case. What happens at trial now is the prosecutor charges you, they put on their case. The defense then rebuts and puts on their case. Then the prosecutor has the last say, and they get to come up and talk. And then both sides do what they call closing arguments. And in closing arguments, you can't just say what you want. You have to say what was proven or talked about during the trial. So at this point, I'm not going to just overly say, because juries are crazy too. You never know what a jury's going to do. But unless this doesn't apply, because right now there is no rats. There is no people saying he did it. there is a strong case for the defense, as 3 can keep a secret if 2 are dead. But even without that, because right now if a rat came forward, what are you gonna say? I'm facing life, so now I gotta tell on somebody else? That doesn't cut it either, guys. Right now, I think the defense is winning. And in fact, I hope they are. And not because I'm a supporter of anybody killing anybody, obviously. But I am a supporter in the law. And I think we should prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a person has did the crime. End of story. We're gonna see what happens. I will do a video on the follow-up on this. I hope you like my analysis on this as a man who's done the law for 10 years. If you have comments, please comment below. I want to answer them. Have a great day, everybody. Stay strong, stay safe, make good choices.